Hi, it's Glenn McQueenie, and welcome to my 25-minute Success Series podcast. Today we have a special guest, Jerome Schrier from Keller Williams Referred Realty in Toronto. How you doing, Jerome?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Good. I'm wondering, Jerome, if you can just kind of give our listeners a little background, how long you've been in the business, what your kind of area of focus is or was, and where you kind of would like to take your business over the next 12 months.
Okay, great. I've been in real estate for approximately 12 years. Been with Keller Williams for about 9.5 years. It's pretty much what I've done. I haven't really moved on from there. I've always been looking to see what I can do and who I can help in real estate, and this is where we are right now. I basically this is the call. I'm right up to 12 years of my life goes right now to talking to Glenn.
Well, you're too nice. So, where were you getting your business over those last 12 years, and where do you want to move your business to?
Well, I'm originally from Montreal, so when I moved from Montreal to Toronto years ago, before I was in real estate, I had other businesses, and I started really from scratch, not knowing a lot of people, not having a big center of influence. I worked hard, got the family, friends, etc., etc. Once I started building that up, I did a lot of open houses, built up my clientele. Once I built it up to I want to say a certain level, I actually at that point lived with my center of influence. I lived a lot with my SOI for getting my new business, but never enough business. I sort of plateau, and I just needed to break through, and that's always been my big issue of breaking through. Just one day I'd like to have people really calling me rather than me calling them. That's so most of my business is from my past clients.
Okay. So, and when you said SOI, just for those, it's sphere of influence, just in case people don't know that acronym. Um, okay, so you've got, past client database, but kind of plateaued at one production level, and just want to kind of step it up now, make as much money as you can, help as many people as you can, and live happily ever after.
You got it.
There we go. Okay, so when it comes to niche markets, the whole key thing is just bring you, right? Like you're perfect the way you are. Like all of your experience, your personality, your mindsets are all about lining you up with your target market of people who just love Jerome, right? Like the whole plan of your niche is just bring you to your target market, create a unique service offering, and then do such a great job with them, create a raving fan experience that they just feel compelled to tell everyone they know about you. So, what would you say, like, who would you love to help? If you had to focus on one group, one segment of the population, who would you love to focus in on and why?
Realistically, I would love clients that say thank you. That is to me the biggest yippee yahoo there is for me. For somebody to say thank you very much for helping. Thank you very much for your opinion. Thank you very much for being you. That is who I want to target.
Okay. So, what's their biggest problem? What's keeping them up at night? And how can we kind of brainstorm together to create a unique solution to attract them?
I think a lot of it, I've been leaning on this couple of years, and I just haven't broken through. Is kind of people with money issues, possibly people who have second mortgages, third mortgages, things like that, or people who don't even have a mortgage but just don't have that money that need to sell but don't know how to go about it. And I think that's people who are afraid to ask for help are the people I want to help.
Okay, so what do you think's keeping them up at night? Like if we're planning from the customer's point of view, what's the conversation that's going on in bed between the partners, or what it's keeping them awake at night? What's their biggest fear?
I would have to say money. It's just not enough. Maybe they have kids in school. Maybe they have mortgage payments, cars, trips. Maybe they lost a job or a spouse or divorce, anything like that. And then all of a sudden, what's keeping them up is how will I pay my bills? What do I do to pay my next bill, or to send my kid to school, or to send my kid to camp? things like that. So really, I think has to do with money, that they're afraid and they don't know what to expect.
Okay. So we could almost create like a group called the refinance right sizing realtor group or something. Like where what your niche is so broadly spread, like it's just spelt out to somebody that when they find you, they're like, oh, he's the guy who specializes in refinancing my home so I can, pay off all my high interest credit card debt and get a little bit of breathing room, or maybe I need to refinance and also kind of maybe right size my home to a smaller home so I don't have to worry about money anymore. And does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously that first part might lean towards too much of a mortgage broker, so I'm kind of staying away from that. I would like more of the maybe who people want to downsize who don't know that they could downsize and come out with, oh, if I downsize, I can have X amount of money and I can put that towards a condo. I can put that towards my nest egg, or maybe I even go out and rent. So those are the type of people I think that I'd be looking at, or those are what I've actually helped in the past few months or few years, and they've really appreciative. That's the people I think I'm looking at right now. So the ones who are worried about the money, who maybe can't even refinance, it's not worth it for them to refinance their own home. It's important for them to be able to survive without losing their home or losing that home
Right.
that they're in.
Do you think there's a market for these people to, if you were to position yourself as, you know, you're probably not going to be able to refinance this, but if we sell your place, pay off most of your debt, and but get you into like a triplex or a fourplex, where you can still own it but collect rent from other people, do you think there would be a market for the people that you deal with for them?
The people that I've dealt with, a lot of them don't want to have the landlord. They don't want to be the landlord. They're landlord for themselves, and they're kind of tired. So I've noticed a lot of them have actually gone from a house to an apartment, to a condo. That they don't have to worry about the grass cutting. They don't have to worry about the snow in the wintertime. They don't have to worry about the roof, the windows, the trees falling on their roofs. That's more kind of downsizing, but also I've had people who moved from condos to a smaller condo, like less money, so they can take out some of their money from their condo and purchase a smaller condo. Someone who went from 1,000 square feet down to 600 square foot unit. So I don't think we've tried that as well, and I've put a couple people in triplexes, and you have to be special to be a landlord. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so what if we just made it like almost like the downsizing debt reduction guy?
Yep. Yep. That sounds.
Like we got to just come up with some catchy phrase. I mean, that's just like a working title, but it could be, and a lot of times, people don't use downsize. They use right size now because it's more positive than downsizing. But I mean, I think what if we were to theme it on what would they do with that extra money and with less stress? Like what if we used that as the carrot and then worked it back to where that's where they would accomplish it?
Yeah, I see that. I see that a lot of the people, they want to be safe with themselves, and they want to put away a little bit of money most of the time for a child, children. If I have $1 million house, I sell it for 500 after, or I have $1 million house, I have 500 in debt, I pay off the debt, I have 500, I buy another place for maybe 300,000, 400,000, I have another 100 that I can put away something for the nest egg. Plus, I still have that house, or the condo, which will be paid off. So I believe that's where a lot of them are putting their money, or they're just breaking even as of paying everything off, but they still actually have a house without having a payment on their house.
Right. So, which freedom is most important to these people? More freedom of money, freedom of time, freedom of like relationship to spend with people they care about, or freedom of like purpose, like to live the life by design? What do you think would be the strongest pull if we held that carrot of freedom?
Not to worry about money, financial
Okay.
pressures.
Right.
That would be the number one. And then after that, obviously, it falls into place. where, living a life by design, like if you don't have any financial issues, you can then start living the way you're supposed to be living.
Right.
Not being kept up at night saying, how will I pay Enbridge or, the hydro or whatever it is, Rogers, things like that.
Right. So I wonder if we could paint a picture for these people of this is like the rebirth of their second life almost. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you've had the first life, worked hard, did this, but you're still, lying awake at night going, how am I ever going to have enough money for retirement or even afford my bills this month or two? And then we can almost do like a launch of their second life, right? Which is, we've right-sized them into the right place. They've got some money in the bank, and now they're starting to live happily ever after in their brand new life.
So you're asking how we can find them, or?
Well, yeah, like we just have to position it. We have to come up with something catchy enough that when they find your Facebook business page called this name, or that you market to them, that they're like, oh, this guy knows exactly what my problem is and looks like he's helped other people do it. I should probably call him because, my problem is so unique because they just think they're the only one going through this, not like 100,000 other people who've got the same problem. That this Jerome guy seems to have the solution for everything that's keeping me awake at night. I mean, that's the way that we give them the unique service offering. Like our value add to them is we know exactly what you're thinking because we planned it from your mind, and we just delivered it up on a plate to you that you sit there and go, wow, this is like, who knew? I'm thirsty walking through the desert and someone shows up with a bottle of water for sale. Like, what are the odds of that? Right?
That's exactly where I want to go. That's how I want it to work.
Okay.
Right now, we have lots of Facebook pages, all different things. One of them I actually do have is the Finding Home in Toronto. Just to finding home, finding your home, finding home, and that's really what it comes down to. Is just finding someone home, someone peace, somewhere, something that they could enjoy and have no worries. I mean, It would be a lot easier if we could say finding home in Jamaica or finding home in Miami, but finding home in Toronto, I want everyone to find a home. And not so much as in like the house itself. This is where you found yourself here.
Right. Almost like the peaceful homeowner in Toronto or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think that's what people really want is peace. If you really dig into it, like why do you want to get out of debt? Why do you want to downsize? What they're really looking for is just peace of mind, freedom not to worry about money all the time.
We put them in their biggest debt, but we can also show them how to get out of their biggest debt.
Right. So where do you think these people are living right now? Where could we target them? And I know you're based in Toronto, but where do you think they are right now? So if we were going to go target them, are we going to go through social media? Are we going to do internet targeted ads? Are we going to do mailers? Are we going to do like a seminar series? Like where do you think these people are that we could get them to come and show up at a seminar?
At this very moment,
or a webinar.
For the research that I've been doing this for a while and trying to find out where and how, and number one, they're all over. They are all over. They are downtown, suburbs, anywhere you can think of. You don't know who your next door neighbor is. You don't know what their issues are, whether it's a job loss, whether it's a death in a family, a birth. It could be anything. No idea. And they are everywhere and anywhere. And then I had to look at the ages and what are the ages? Are they, 80-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 20-year-olds? Now, it's not so much the 20-year-olds. It usually starts at around that 30, probably around 35 or so would be like the early end, but they go all the way up to 80. And I would like to narrow that down a little bit more, but there's different types of it. So there's someone who's really wants to downsize, or I guess you can say right size right now, who might be in that 70 to 80-year-old, and that's more the true downsize. But someone who got over their head at 40, bought a house or bought a condo at 40 years old, and by 45 now maybe they have a kid or a wife, 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, and they're over their head. So it really could be anywhere from, and I'm going to still say 35 might be a little bit on the lower side, between 40 and 75. That's the more I think, the more I look at my stats that I have, it's and the people I've helped, they've been in that range. They've been I've had a 48-year-old, I've had a 68-year-old, I had a 72-year-old. So doing this exact same thing. And I just yeah, that's the ages I believe.
Okay, so the only challenge with that is that what a 40-year-old needs or 35-year-old needs is probably different than a 70 or 80 year, right? So it's very hard to get a uniform message when like maybe a 70, 80 or 80-year-old is more worried about, downsizing to get money to pay for long-term care. A 40-year-old is looking for money just to get out of debt right now,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's been the top challenges because I think I'm trying to put it all in one, and it really isn't. It
Yeah.
is by age group. It is by age group.
Well, couldn't we just do two? Like, couldn't we have two separate niches going or three within this? Like, you don't have to settle on one. Like, one could be, like, what if we could call some financial planners and maybe do a joint exercise with them because they're going to know, they have the people already that are probably, have some money or have some investments, or they would also be the one who would benefit the most from them downsizing and then them giving the money to the financial advisor to, invest for them. So I wonder if we could do the one approach could be maybe that 40 to 50-year-old market where it's what they really need is downsize, get money out, start saving for retirement, worry about that and do something with financial advisors. And then that 70, 80-year-old is more about, should you go to a condo? Should you go rent right now? What are the pros and cons? Could you do a tour of condos for them where you can show them the different condo options? Like, that's the bait. Like, what we're really trying to design on this call is what is the bait that's going to get someone to put up their hand and call you and go, I think you could solve my selfish problem.
And I actually have that as a 40 to 50, and then pretty much a 50 to 75. Because I think the 50 to 75 might almost be in that same category. I mean, I could also split it as like 40 to 55 and 55 to 75, because there are two different needs there. So their conversation or in their head at nighttime going to sleep will be a little bit different. The main is going to be yes, it's money, 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 but one will be money just to get out of debt, but I still want to survive and buy another house and then move on and still grow. Where the 50 to 75 or the 55 to 75-year-olds are more, I'm okay, I've done what I had to do, and now I just want to make sure I have enough to survive later on.
Right. So what if we went into four groups, right? 45 to 35 to 45, 45 to 55. So I think 35 to 45 is just had kids, lots of expenses, don't know if I can make ends meet here. Maybe we got to move to a smaller place so I can save for their university, their sports, all their activities.
Yeah.
45, 55 is okay, I'm kind of in the peak earning years right now, and my kids are almost finishing university or getting really close to it. Do we really need this 3,000 square foot house, or could we go to like a 1,600 square foot? 55 to 65, I think, is really your downsizer market. Okay, all my kids have graduated university. They're starting to have grandchildren now. I want to be near them, but I also want to kind of travel more while my knees still work and hips still work. And then you've got that 65 to 80 market, which is really just health dependent now,
Yep.
Like there's some 80-year-olds who can run a great life and they look like they're 60 and they're going to be in their house for the next 20 years, right?
At this by the same token, I've actually started doing research onto, I want to say, downsizing, closing up houses. So that's a separate, same thing with what this is, but a little separate. We're trying, it's preliminary right now, getting the cleaning up your house.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something else that I have thrown in. I'm doing that as a partner with somebody else, trying to figure all that out and see if that will work. Obviously that'll help me with the moving part of it, but really helping people. And that's more the downsizing itself from there to maybe a home, not to even a condo. So there's different. It's the same, but we're gonna have to separate them, I think, differently, as in 10-year parts, like you were saying. I think the 10-year parts might make a difference.
Yeah, I mean the crazy thing is like when you really start looking at niches, there's actually probably 100 niches just within those four age groups. You know what I mean? Like everyone's got different problems. I did a podcast with Sharon Parenteau, and I don't know if you've heard it, about what she does is she just downsizes seniors via a seminar, and then brings them on tours, group tours, because they like to travel in groups, like rents a bus, rents a van, and then does individual consultations. But what she's leading with is the decluttering angle. It's the decluttering seminar, not the downsizing seminar anymore.
Okay.
See, because when you downsize the seminar, then people think there's a sale in there. That's why you're doing the decluttering is making your life better, and the reason you're decluttering is because you don't need all that stuff, and then you start to realize you don't need that big house anymore, and then you move.
Yeah.
So it's really going after the declutter. You know, there's that. Have you read the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there's a book by Maria Kondo, with a K, I believe it is, Kondo, who is a Japanese decluttering specialist, and she has this kind of life-changing book about how you go from section to section in your house, not room by room, but okay, start with your socks. You know, which ones do you use, which ones do you don't? Thank them for their service, wish them well, pass them on. And it's this whole mindset she has about the clearing of your clutter by categories is really the clearing of your mind. So, great book, Life Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And I wonder if we could even offer that to a Facebook page or even send her a note and say, listen, I really love your book. I want to be able to give it away to 100 people. You know, can we work some deal out or something? Or can I do an interview with you that I could send out to my database? Like, this is what we've got to try to, you know,
Okay.
if you, on that one segment, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so, so many fun little niches here. But we've only got 3 minutes left, Rome. So let's just pick one age category, and we'll try to do some magic in the next couple of minutes, and then we'll take it from there.
That 55 to 65, 50 to 65, that 15-year mark.
Okay.
Someone who got into trouble in their house, that type of person, who's not ready to downsize, but not ready to, move on.
Right. So the big fear they're going to have is shame, right? That's what their emotion is right now, and there's a lot of money anchoring around that shame, you know? So we have to do the private, confidential theme with those people all the time because they don't want anyone else to know. Like they're publicly, they look great on the outside, but inside it's kind of like chaos, right?
Yep, that's exactly it.
So I would do something like the homeowner's guide to stress-free living by right-sizing or refinancing. Like actually do a guide. Like you can Google all this stuff, but what if you could give like a free book away that, you know, all they had to do was just download it from your site. You know, it's a PDF. You can do it pretty quickly. It only has to be 1 or 2 pages. But then you capture their email address where you then can now drip onto them afterwards.
Okay. Offer a free book, like, or just a manual, I guess you can say.
It's a PDF, a 2-page PDF. Whatever you can do in order for you to capture their email address. So it's like you have to create some value that someone goes, yeah, I want that. I'm going to put my hand up.
Okay.
So I would do the like you can even do lists, right? The top 10 ways to get out of debt, right size your home, and live stress free.
Okay. Sounds good. That sounds good.
Like, I mean, it would be pretty easy, right? I mean, you could just Google that stuff, right? I'm sure someone's done like, oh, here's another way, here's another way, here's another tip. Hey, you know what? If you know,
put it together. Put it togetgether. And
yeah, like, David Ramsey has a piece which is probably built to write one amazing book, and that was his. And his is a really simple 4-step way where you start paying your highest credit card debt first. Then you slowly like snowball the payments to make sure that gets done, and then you start getting rid of your mortgage, and eventually you get debt free. And so it starts with getting rid of debt, then saving 3 months' salary, then saving 1 year's salary, then paying down the mortgage. And then, because what they found is when someone could pay down their mortgage, they're basically going to be safe for about 5 to 8 years. If something happened, they could sell their house and probably live on that money for 5 to 8 years. But it all starts with paying the highest credit card debt first.
Okay.
So I wonder if you read that book and then took some of those tips out and did a summary sheet also. Like the first one is, here's how to do it. The second is, here's some tips from David Ramsey. Number 3, by the way, I'm going to be doing a seminar in my office this way, or a webinar, an anonymous webinar where you can come in. You can go to zoom.us and you get a free video broadcast platform. And you could have 100 people in on that Zoom.
Okay.
And all you're trying to do is go wide right now to get to that target by giving them free stuff. Like, here's more value, here's more value, here's more value. Oh, by the way, here's more value. Give, then you ask. Give, then you ask.
And would you say with that target market, would you then say like it's through Facebook the advertising, or would you do Google ads? You look at certain age groups, and some people, the younger ones, obviously aren't on Facebook as much as they used to be. They're more Instagram, and the older people are on Facebook right now.
Absolutely. So what if you think you can do both, right? Because, you can cross it from Facebook over to Instagram pretty quickly. But I would probably target, I think you're right, most 55 to 65-year-olds are on Facebook right now. That's where the market is. So, and I think I don't think it'd be too tough to, I think you could run your ad on Kijiji because Kijiji just lists high on Google search, right?
Yeah, yes it does. It does a lot.
Right. So get that ad going so that when someone Googles refinance my house, up comes your ad on Kijiji that says, here's my free guide of right sizing, paying off debt, and living a great life. Download it here. Here's the link. Now you have their email address, and you can do the next drip. And then from there, you're just going to start building your pipeline of people. And then this is going to set you up, if you do it right, for the next, for the third and fourth quarter of this year. But more importantly, you're going to be flying in the first quarter of next year.
All right. Very good. Very good. Very
exciting. Makes
sense? Makes a lot of sense.
All right. Well, you got to keep me posted on how this goes, but it's all up to you now just to get into action about it and just really plan it as if you're sitting there, or next time you're out talking and you notice someone between 55 and 65 and they say, how's real estate? You go, oh, it's really great. And I've started this new program to help people between 55 and 65, get out of debt, right-size their home, and have a stress-free life, And they'll be like, really? Well, tell me more about it. And then you say, and now you can start gathering the information. It's a much better dialogue to have than with someone who's like, how's real estate? You're like, oh, it's great. We're really busy. The typical realtor response. So.
And that's a great segue. No, it's wonderful. Wonderful.
All
Thank
right.
you very much, Glenn.
Well, thank you, Jerome. Thanks for being on my podcast. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks.
See ya. Bye-bye.